The scripture this morning is from John 18, verses 12 to 27. I'll be reading from the Revised Standard Version. So the band of soldiers and their captain and the officials of the Jews seized Jesus and bound him. First they took him to Annas, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had given counsel to the Jews that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. As this disciple was known to the high priest, he entered the court of the high priest along with Jesus, while Peter stood outside at the door. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the maid who kept the door, and brought Peter in. The maid who kept the door said to Peter, "Are not you also one of the man's disciples?" He said, "I am not." Now the servants and officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing and warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, "I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all Jews come together. I have said nothing secretly. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. They know what I said." When he had said this, one of the officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" Jesus answered him, "If I have spoken wrongly, bear witness to the wrong. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?" Annas then sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. They said to him, "Are not you also one of his disciples?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a kinsman of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter again denied it, and at once the cock crowed.
I am. I am. Who knew that two words could be so powerful? I heard Jesus repeat these words over and over and over again in our whirlwind time together. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd. I'm the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the list goes on. It's like there was so much inside of him that he couldn't not just let it out. And even if he wasn't telling, he was showing. He was showing I am. He was performing miracles to show who he really was. And the whole time he did it, we knew what was going on. Because we knew our Bible stories. We knew that when Moses was talking to God in the burning bush and Moses was asking, well, who should I tell the people sent me to come rescue you from slavery? God said, just tell the people, I am sent you. So we knew what Jesus meant every single time he said, I am. And it's no surprise, too, that, every time he said, I am, or just showed everyone who he was, It had a major effect. Some immediately believed him. They knew that Jesus was the Messiah that God had promised, that was going to come and sit on David's throne, the King of Israel forever. Some of them actually conspired to grab him by force, drag him to Jerusalem, sit him on the throne, and put a crown on his head. That's how much they knew that that's who Jesus was when he said, "I am." And there were others, mostly the religious leaders, that had a different response. Well, they accused him of blasphemy because he was claiming to be God, and what human being could do that? So they made plans to kill him. They made plans to kill him. So, yeah, it was a little dicey there for a while for us. But I kind of liked it. We were on the run, you know? We were hiding in the countryside for a lot of the time. Jesus was doing his thing. And then every now and then, he'd go back into Jerusalem. Or he'd go to a synagogue or a temple or go somewhere where the religious leaders were, and he'd do his thing again. And somehow, he escaped capture every single time. It was exciting. And this "I am," it was obvious how powerful the impact of that was. And believe it or not, Jesus actually let me in on the "I am" effect. I was Simon for as long as I could remember. That's what my parents called me. That's what my siblings called me. And then one day, my brother introduces me to Jesus, and the first time we meet, he says that I've got a different name. Now I'm Peter, which clearly means the rock. I don't know why. He never explained it. But I was Simon. And now I am the rock. Cool name, huh? I mean, clearly if I had given it to myself, it never would have stuck. But because Jesus gave it to me, it caught on. And I started to get the sense of that polarizing nature of the "I am" statements. Because, you know, sometimes I'd introduce myself and say, "I am the rock." About half the people would be like, "Whoa, cool name." The other half would roll their eyes. My brother included. But that was to be expected. I didn't care what they thought. I was the rock. Certainly made me feel stronger and more confident. So I was happy with it. I was so confident, in fact, that I boldly stated that I would be willing to die for Jesus. I was so confident that when the Roman soldiers and the temple police were arresting Jesus, I was the one who pulled my sword and attacked one of those cowards who was arresting Jesus. I was so confident, in fact, that I snuck in to the courtyard of the high priest while Jesus was being interrogated, illegally, by the way. Why? I don't know. Maybe to mount a rescue effort. I am the rock. I am with Jesus. I am his most loyal disciple. But am I? You know, it's easy to pledge your life when you don't actually think you're going to die. It's easy to say the words, "I'd give my life for you," when you're on the side of God, who wouldn't let you die. It's easy to be courageous and draw your sword and attack the enemy when you're sure that God will approve of your violence. It's easy to be the rock when you're on the winning team. I know that Jesus is I am, but when he's not standing right next to me, what am I? You aren't with that guy, are you? I am not. You aren't one of his disciples. I'm not. You look familiar. Aren't you the one that tried to defend him in the garden? No, I'm not. I am not. I'm not.